Welcome to momedaram. In this video, we will discuss what is final keyword in Java. Final keyword is used to restrict the further modification. Final keyword in Java can be used with classes, methods, and variables. If you declare a class, method, variable as final, that means it is completed. There is no further modification. There is no need to do any modification. Final classes. If you declared a class as final, we can say that class is final class. We cannot create a subclass or we cannot extend a class which is declared as final. We have created a class final keyword with the keyword final, and when we are trying to extend, it is giving error saying that cannot inherit from final core.final keyword class. Final method. If we declared a method as final, that time we can say that method as final method. We cannot override a method or we cannot modify a method which is declared as a final. So in our example, final keyword class, we have a method 1 which is of type final, and we are trying to override in the subclass. So it is giving method 1 cannot override method 1 in a core.final keyword. That means the whatever the overridden method is final. So we cannot override a method which is declared as final. Any class or any method can be either abstract or final, but not both. That means if you define a class as by using both final and abstract, it will give error saying that illegal combination of modifiers final and abstract. And the same if you used final and abstract for any method representation, you will get illegal combination of modifiers exception. That means final and abstract are both are reverse in nature. That means final is represented as it will not allow any further modification. Abstract means it should be implemented in the subclasses. That is the reason we should not use final and abstract both for the classes and methods. Final variables. If you declare a variable as final, then we can say that variable as final variable. The value of a final variable cannot be changed in the entire execution once it got initialized. In the example, we have declared final int I is equals to 100. Now we are trying to initialize the value I equals to 100. That means here it is giving error. Cannot assign a value to a final variable I, even though the same value also you cannot assign. If a reference variable is declared as final, you cannot reassign a new object to it once it is referring to an object. That means in this example, we have an array of type int and we are declaring as final. Here we are assigning a value third index to the 5, and third index again we are changing the value. What we thought, so this should give error because once a variable is declared, it should not change the value, right? Like that we thought. But in this scenario, final is only for the variable, not for the elements. So we can able to reassign the elements. So when we try to reassign roll number is equals to new int of 15, that time we are getting error. That means cannot assign a value to a field variable roll number. For example, another example you can say, if you declared final employee E is equals to new employee, Again, your E is equals to new employee of 10 or something if you're doing, that is also not recommended. That means once you declare it as variable as final, you cannot assign new object to it. If a global variables are not initialized explicitly, they get a default value at the time of object creation. That means in our example int I we have declared but not initialized. So when you run this program, it will give value as 0. That means find when the object is created, that time global variables will be initialized with default values. In the second point, final global variables does not get default values, so they must be initialized at the time of declaration, or in all constructors, or in any one of instance initialize blocks it should be declared. That means in our example final int j, we have declared here j. Here itself we should initialize the value for j, or we should initialize in all the constructors or any one of the instantialized blocks. In this example, we are initializing value for j in default constructor. If we have another constructor, we have to initialize this value in another constructor also. Why means if you are creating object for this final keyword using different constructor, that time value of I will be not there, that time it will give error. So we should initialize this value in all the constructors or in any one of the instance initialized blocks. Next one, final static global variables. If the global variable is declared as final static, then that must be initialized at the time of declaration only, or in any one of the static initialized blocks we have to initialize, because we cannot initialize the values for static and final variables inside the constructors. This is all about final keyword in Java. Hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching.